Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with legendary wrestler Kevin VonErich and his son Marshall VonErich. Gentlemen, how are you today?
We're doing just fine. How are you, buddy?
Very well, thank you. Kevin, what was it like growing up with your father being a wrestler and traveling?
Well, it's I'll tell you, that's do you want me? Should I hold the mic or you want to hold it? Coming up it's just like any other little kid. It's just, I was like a little boy and wanted to be like my dad. All little kids are the same way, and so I supposed I wouldn't have anything to compare it to because I was like lived out in the country. We really didn't have any neighbors, and the way we live now is pretty much the same way. My sons don't have neighbors. We live out in the country in Kauai. Out in the middle of the ocean, they spearfish. They keep fresh meat on the table, and so it's being like their dad is just like I was. I wanted to be just like my dad. Well, they the same way. They wanted to be like me. They spearfish. Now it's wrestling. They're wrestling too. Everything my dad did, I did. I did it the way he did because it was honor. My dad didn't back down from anybody. I admired my father everywhere he went because my dad kept his word. He did the right thing, and come hell or high water, he did not compromise. I admire that man for the rest of my life, and I'm glad to know my sons feel that way about me. They're going to do the same thing and try to be like their dad. I think that is a good chain reaction that nature needs. It works in our family. We love each other, and nature works. A natural family works. Dutch, would you say my son Marshall has only been wrestling 2 years now? But start off with 3 or 4 since professional in Japan. In Japan, the wrestling is a lot different. Would you say that you could tell it was different than what I would do in my day, the old school style?
Completely different. My dad he wrestled in Texas, and the fans were so alive and electric. In Japan, the crowd is so much different. Yeah, they're a little bit more quiet but really polite.
Yeah,
and
still.
Yes, but still it's wrestling, and as long as I was doing what my dad did, I knew I was in a good place.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it.
And Kevin, one question I've always wondered myself was wrestling your first choice after football?
My brother was a great discus thrower. My dad was a great discus thrower. My brother was a great discus thrower. My son is the state champion discus thrower. But I wasn't a discus thrower. I guess he wanted to be like his granddad on that one. But I was a high hurdler and a high jumper. And my dad didn't know much about those. He was a discus thrower, and so I threw 5 events. I mean, I high jump, high hurdles, 400 meter, shot, and discus. And so, you can only do 5. And so my dad would be down the discus ring. So I got done with all that other junk that he wasn't interested in, then he'd be down the discus ring because that's what he's good at. My dad was a good coach and a good motivator. And I hope I was a good motivator to you.
You were, definitely.
Marshall, what prompted you and your brother to go from playing football to wrestling?
We went to a Harley race camp right after high school. I had a scholarship offer to Army and Cornell, and
Tulane.
Tulane and a couple other schools for discus, and I was going to go do that, but we had an opportunity to go wrestle, and since I was a kid, that was a dream of mine to do, but I never thought it would come true, and we had an opportunity to go do it, and I didn't think that I was going to pursue it as a career, but we went, and that's the door God opened, and ever since then, the Japanese scouts came up to us. They didn't know I was Kevin's son yet, but they saw that I was barefoot, and they said that I looked like Fritz VonErich, and I told them that was my family, and then I introduced them to my brother, and the next thing you know, we got invited to Japan, and we learned so much from there, and so far, all the doors have been opening, and this is the career that we picked. We love it.
Kevin, did you think you and your brothers would ever become as popular as y'all had became?
Well, no, I didn't at all. It was a big surprise to me. It was never that I thought, wow, they sure are loud tonight, but I never really did grasp the whole thing. No, I was kind of surprised by it all, and I think the same thing with these guys. I mean, when they were over in Japan, they probably expected to be like the other wrestlers, but when they come out, the same thing. The girls scream and carry on, and they have to get the crowd control. It's just like it was for us. It's just the same with them. It's because God put his hand on us. We have a sparkle on us that we're just wrestlers. We're just doing what my dad did, but it's supernatural. It's beyond us. We just give everything we've got and put God number one. Everything we do, everything works out. All things work to the good for those who love the Lord. I give you my word, that's the truth. You bank on it.
Marshall, what is different within the style of wrestling here compared to Japan?
Japan, there's not really.
They got all those kicks to the head too.
Yeah. There's a lot more kicks and some more strikes than there is like moves and stuff. I noticed in America it's a lot more like suplexes and stuff like that, and when in Japan it's more strikes, kicks, elbows and stuff like that. And they don't even throw punches in Japan. But I prefer. I preferred the Japan style until I started wrestling in America more. Now I prefer the American style. I like it a lot more. But
see, it's really important when you're the American style is different than the Japanese style. But by him having this Japanese style, also his strikes are it's illegal to use a closed fist, or nowadays it is. There was, in the early days of the Olympics, it wasn't. Eye gouging, everything was legal when they first started wrestling. But a fist, a kick, is not near as effective as an elbow or a knee or a headbutt. People don't know that. That's called close-in fighting. And people just think about, punch somebody or kick somebody, and it doesn't work like that at all. To fight close-in Japan style, you've got to get very personal with your opponent, and it's war, eye to eye. One man's going to die.
And Kevin, if you had to choose one, who would be your favorite rival from your time in the ring?
After so many years, they all run together, I'll tell you, they're the kind of guy that's real big, that does a lot of stuff from the ground. There's a guy that's really big that can do stuff off of the ropes, and I can name 5 guys like that. There's big cats that can move like cats, and there's guys that are like bears, that are like big bears that stay on the ground, and their attack is that way. And so, believe it or not, even wrestling is kind of thing where you have to watch films, and you have to be with what this guy's doing. And in fact, if you want to really be effective, you need to see what he's doing this month, these last few matches. It's precision. It's a whole lot more goes into it than people may think.
And how would y'all feel if someone were to try and revive the Freebird VonErich rivalry?
Well, what it's all about is that to heck with that. It's all about you getting in the ring and you beat your man, whoever you're across. I don't care if his name's Freebird or if his name's Jaybird. Whoever's standing across from you is your opponent, and everything dissolves. Everything goes away. All there is a spotlight, that ring, and him. All you see is him. You don't think about anything else. I don't care what his name is. You're going to take him down and you're going to finish him. I don't care who he is. That's just, they all look alike.
Marshall, how would you feel?
Freebirds. I know that they have sons. Buddy Roberts had a kid, and we're here. We're ready. If they want a match, please, we'll be glad to take them up on that.
3. I don't care if there were 9 Freebirds. We'd beat them. I guarantee you. VonErichs don't lay down for anybody, and I think maybe y'all are figuring that out by now.
And Kevin, what prompted you to step out of the ring?
I always had fun in the ring. I enjoyed myself, but I had a lot of injuries, from football. And when I started having brothers die often, I had a brother die, and 2 years later another brother died. A year later another brother. A year later another brother. It wasn't fun for me anymore. I knew the people would see that, because if I'm feeling like it's not fun, then they're going to see it's not fun. And so I wanted to get out before all that ever happened. Which you think I say make a good call there?
Yes, good call.
Because believe me, there's nothing uglier or sadder than to look up in the ring and see a guy that everybody knows he's too old to be in there except him. And the joke's on him, and it's terrible. And I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be like that.
And what prompted you to move to Hawaii? Well,
I guess that's kind of personal, but the thing is that I wanted to get away, man. The Pacific Ocean has no memory. And I went out to the middle of it, and I found a tiny little island there, and I'm not Kevin VonErich there. I'm not a big anything there. I'm just another one of God's organisms under the sun, and it's beautiful. That's the way we are.
And how did you feel whenever your boys came to you and told you that they wanted to start wrestling?
They already have, and I watched, and I said, if you can do it, then you can do it. And so next thing people are this promoter, they're all fighting over them, and so I let it go, because I'm not gonna. People want to think that Fritz made us wrestle. People want to think that I made them do it. My dad didn't make any of us wrestle. We did it because the money. That's why I did it, and I wanted to be like my dad. But after I had done that, then I have a wife and children, so it's about money. That's exactly what my son's doing. Don't tell me that you love the sport and all that kind of stuff. You might when you're an amateur, but you're getting to professional wrestling, it's all about the money. It ain't no love of the sport anymore. It's business. Wouldn't you say, son?
Yeah.
It quit being fun.
Right now, I'm still in the state, in the lovey-dovey puppy love state. So I still love it. I'm still, and my dad, when he found out we got into business, he really couldn't help it, but his puppy love came back too, because to see his sons come back, he left. When he left, it was tragedy. But when his sons came back, that's why it was so big. When we came to TNA for Slammiversary, the last time a Texas fan saw my dad, he was losing brothers, and the fact to see him back in the ring again with two more VonErichs sticking the claw, that was beautiful for all of us.
I guess you're right.
And we're back. And
That's a good one, son. Good job. Shawn, it was nice meeting you, and I want to talk to the teacher too. Give this kid a good grade. He is a great student. No one has gotten me to do an interview like this. No one. So, God bless y'all.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you. Oh, next match, we don't know.
Way to go, Shawn. There's an A.